I hereby call to order this meeting of the Strategic Housing Finance Corporation of Texas here at 502 East Highland Mall Boulevard. We're going to begin by taking roll call and confirming our quorum.
President Julio Gonzalez Altamirano,
Present.
Vice President Lisa Reams,
Here.
Director Wilmer Roberts,
Here.
Director Delee Becker,
Here.
Director Jan Wenig,
Present.
Director Keisha Prince,
Here.
Director Rebecca Weber.
I'm here. Thank you.
We have a quorum. We will move to public forum citizen communication. And we have one person signed up live, and that is Gabriela Garcia of Basta.
Correct.
Ms. Garcia, you have 3 minutes.
Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Gabby Garcia. I'm an organizer with Basta and I work with the Neighbors at Rosemont Tenants Association. Today I want to address a few of the issues that came up at the County Commissioners Court meeting. First of all, I can't say that I was surprised to hear SHFC staff and Patrick attempt to take credit for the deal that was reached with Hayden Glade. Again, I want to reiterate that any tenant benefits that were extracted were a result of tenant advocacy for themselves, the support of Basta, and certain members on this board who have been committed to supporting tenants. The conversation regarding the post-closing agreement also brought to light that both SHFC and the county are third-party beneficiaries who have some power to enforce the agreements from Hayden Glade. As we have pointed out, SHFC staff did not do a good job of negotiating to make sure that the language was strong, but the neighbors at Rosemont are exploring how the agreement can be used. And currently the neighbors at Rosemont continue to organize to find solutions to their problems, and many of the issues that they're working on are a direct result of the mess that was left behind by Capstone, Patrick, and his staff. The county commissioners also made it very clear that their priorities for SHFC and HATC are to ensure deeper affordability in Travis County, and this aligns with tenant values, and we want to continue to explore these possibilities with this board. Lastly, the issue of the tenant bill of rights, which was never implemented, was brought up and it seems was on the agenda for this meeting. Even if Rosemont tenants won't benefit from these protections, it's always been an important issue that they want to see through. Both tenants and Basta want to make sure that these protections are provided to tenants at other SHFC properties, and we want to dispel the myth that investors won't agree to make deals if these addendums are included. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Garcia, and sincerely thank you for your patience.
Yeah.
Is there anybody else signed up for virtual testimony?
None that I know of.
All right, then we will close the public forum portion of our agenda.
So,
Yes,
I'm
sir.
sorry, yes, I'm sorry, I have it. So Maddie Jones, with Coast Road would like to speak, and she, also has, a client that also wants to speak as well.
All right. Let's get
Good
Maddie.
afternoon. Yes,
You're-
Chairman. Can you hear me? I apologize, Chairman and
Yes.
members. My name is Maddie Jones. I'm a lawyer at Coates Rose Law Firm. We represent various interests throughout the state in the affordable and community development law. And our firm represents Mercy Chen, developer out of Austin area. And one of their principals is on the line. Her name is Bethany Fattle, and she would like to present information about 2 projects that we're seeking an opportunity for a public-private partnership with Strategic, with Mercy Chen on these 2 very excellent mixed income opportunities in the Austin area, in the county. And Bethany, are you on the line? Do not hear her. One second. Hold on one second. I apologize. Give me 1 second.
Miss Maddie, can you hear me?
Well, I'm actually trying to get the lady on there.
Miss Maddie?
Yes. So, Bethany Faddle, we were waiting on the line to start, so we apologize. She must have come off the line, but she's dialing in now. These properties are, and I will just tell you generally, the structure. It is a public-private partnership. Chapter 394 of the statute allows for, a opportunity for reaching the missing middle and lower income demographics, while also opportunities for a market rate unit to be intertwined on the property for mixed income development. And these two properties present that opportunity, and they are seeking consideration under the structure that is closed routinely across the state under 394.
Miss
And
Maddie,
yes,
I'm so sorry to interrupt you. Your allotted time is over. We are very excited to give your projects consideration. If you could forward the documentation and your proposal for partnership to our staff, I can assure you that the board will give it its fullest consideration. Ms. Fadel, maybe your associate, is also entitled to 3 minutes, and if she is present to speak, we can let her speak for 3 minutes.
Great,
thank you. She's on the line.
Can you hear me?
Ms. Fadel. Yes, you have 3 minutes.
Great, thank you. So my name is Bethany Fadel, and I'm with Bercy Chin Studio here in Austin. We have 2 multifamily developments that we would like to present to you. They are both shovel ready and will be new construction. They are both located within the city of Austin. And they also have full entitlements and will have a site development permit and building permits within the next month. So the first development is 5916 North Lamar, and it is located on the Orange Line, and it's in between UT and the Domain, and it's close proximity to ACC Highland. The future light rail stop and existing bus stop is directly adjacent to the property, so it's very well connected with public transit. The property is a little over 2 acres, and we have planned for 326 units, of which 50% would be non-income restricted, and 30% would be at 80% AMI, 10% would be at 60% AMI, and 10% at 50% AMI. The second development is located at 7800 Burleson Road. The development is in the area of significant job growth and employment opportunities such as Tesla and the airport. And maybe, but the Southeast submarket is in short supply of multifamily rentals. The location is close proximity to McKinney Falls and Bergstrom Spur and within 15 minutes of downtown. The site is 16 acres, of which 9 will be dedicated to the City of Austin Parks Department. And it will be 315 units, 50% at market, 30% at 80% AMI, 10% at 60, and 10% at 50. And we have lending and equity in place for both of these deals. And so we'd hope that you guys would consider partnering with us so we can bring a level of meaningful affordability. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fidel. These are very promising. We need to examine the details. Please send them to our staff that we receive prompt consideration.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you. Any additional virtual testimony?
No, sir.
No. Then we will close the public forum portion of our agenda and move to the consent agenda. Will somebody please move approval of the minutes from August 3rd, 2023? Ms. Reeves moves approval. Is there a second? Director Wenning is the second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any abstentions? Raise your hand. Any opposed? All right. Then we'll move to action items. We have two resolutions related to the Daphne Flats project, and is staff ready to present, or the
Yes,
opponent ready to present?
we are, and I think, do you know if Mark McCord was gonna be on the line? No.
I don't believe it
Okay,
was.
I don't see it. Yeah, so Daphne Flats, we do have sort of a summary that talks about, well, let me back up, prior to Rosemont, there were a number of deals that were, had been induced by the board. This was one of them. Inducement means that we are essentially giving tentative approval to allow for the deal to go forward to request a reservation of tax credits, and that happened prior to almost all of you being on the board. But just a little bit about what that looks like and what that means. We are talking about 4% tax credit, whereby the units have to average 60% of area median income. In some cases, there's something called income averaging, which allows for units up to 80%, but all those have to average 60% of area median income. So you did your predecessors did induce this project, and now they want to move forward because they have an allocation of bond funding to do essentially move forward with essentially again, approving the project. One of the things that to note is that we have the board and the real estate committee and others will in the future contemplate looking at terms that may look different from what your previous terms were, but those terms have been previously sort of endorsed by the board and essentially were those that were being considered when the inducement came about. So this is essentially what's being presented today to you all is Daphne Flats. We do have some details. We can go forward. So let me just go to what we're looking at now in terms of the terms. Madeline, toward the bottom of it, when we talk about the benefits. Oh, not that far. Okay, right there. What are other benefits do we receive? This is, if you can see the slide here, this is what we're talking about in terms of what we're looking at in this deal related to typically the benefits. That may be something that in the future you all want to contemplate exploring in terms of how you want to see other deals look. But it's essentially what is generally been agreed upon already. So you see that there. So with that, I'm going to go to the details of the project. If we can go down. Okay. Okay, so 247 units, 13 units will be reserved for units at 30% AMI, 234 will be families at or below 60. And then again, a mix of 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units. At this point, I'll maybe just entertain a question. I think there's some illustrations, right? Subsequent. Maybe not for the.
There might be.
Does anybody have any immediate questions that they want to make about this project? Okay. So, yes, a quick question from Director Wenning.
First off, I just want to say how much I appreciate the 1-page summary, and that's a great format. I hope we can move forward with that. When you are going to, under what does the public receive? If you're going to name the number of units reserved for individuals that are below 30%, maybe just put that out also as a percentage of what the total units are. And in this case, we already know it's 247, and I think that's 0.05%, but.
Okay, we'll put it in the
Just
table.
to
It's
make
probably
it like a
general.
quick glance, and I like the format.
I agree, the table, we'll do a table like we.
All right, that's all I have.
So a little bit of context, because this is a very important and consequential decision. This is what we're hopefully gonna be doing a lot more of, as opposed to what we have experienced for a bit. You may recall that this development has been mentioned in a few of our agendas, for the past year as one of the items in our pipeline. It is a legacy, I would say, a legacy option that we've explored. The way that our model works is we are at the whim of private developers who actually go and build this stuff. And we are at the whim of monetary policy set by people that are much more, central to the economy than we are. And the developers, in interacting with monetary policy and federal policy, what's going on in the state in terms of available credits, et cetera, decide when they want to come to us to make a deal. And what we are is, in essence, an investment committee for the public. And we have two types of capital. We have the capital that we provide, so to speak, by the tax abatements that we can provide. And we have the capital that we can provide by allowing access to lower cost of capital than market debt. There are other tools that we can do. We could, in theory, directly infuse our cash. And there may be even more tools if we think about it. But what we have to do is make sure we are striking good deals for the public, given our mission. Because we are expending their resources and we are authorizing use of scarce resources. With that understood, it's important to put this deal in the context of, particularly for those of you that serve on the Facilities Corporation. So this is a tax credit deal. And it uses the low income housing tax credit program. That comes with a set of constraints and requirements. And so that is why the depth of affordability is significant, and why it comes with a series of guardrails in terms of how much we can give up on behalf of the public and how much we get. There was a one-pager that you all hopefully read, as well as a lot of documentation. The amounts are not inconsequential, and this will lead to, if everything goes according to plan, an actual structure that serves actual people and the expenditure of actual resources. It is not conceptual. There will be, if things go to plan, a building. And we're gonna hopefully be doing more of this kind of work. So I wanted to reiterate that this is something that has been sort of an option for a bit. It's been in our agenda, but not a priority. Circumstances have evolved where we are now the partner that the developer wants. There's an allocation of tax credits available. You have been presented the facts of the transaction. It follows terms that if you read the documentation in the one pager, are comparable, if not essentially the same, to the other Pier 394s. I want to make sure that everybody understands that this is a significant decision. And while I personally intend to vote for this, this is a new day for us. We are voting to approve significant new development. And so I want everybody to feel comfortable that they've got what they need, that they vocalize what they may need in the future. And that is a segue to later, we will see an item that is new, novel. And you are already hearing that there are other potential partnerships. So we are sort of, in a weird way, we are old rookies. The agency has been around for a while. These powers have been around for a while, but we got to rediscover our talent at evaluating this. And so this little extended commentary is a way of saying, in your minds, make a mental break of what we've done in the past and how we've spent time in the past. Relative to this is different, and this is what we're supposed to be doing. We want to bring our best board game to these kinds of decisions. I intend to support this. I also intend to work with my colleagues in the real estate committee and this body to continue to improve our process, because I'm sure there's some public value that if we just tweaked or did things differently, we would discover we really want to champion. I don't know what that is. I don't feel strongly enough about discovering it today to delay it, given that it does have the guardrails of a 4% project. But this is what you're here for, to make sure that these deals are good and we can defend them to our appointees and to the public. Any further questions given your understanding of the stakes and why this matters?
Do you feel comfortable summarizing what the main argument would be for delaying this further?
So the theoretical argument for delay is we can extract more. What can we extract more of? We can extract more of the good things we want from the development, like more affordability, more units, more this, more that. The second is we can extract more for us, the corporation, to serve our mission, more money for our coffers that we can reinvest, a better option to purchase, some other options, additional provisions, a better playscape, whatever it is. There are so many things that we could argue for. The dilemma that gets us, that would be the argument for. If we are hard negotiators, we may be able to get something more out of it. There are counter arguments, but that would be the argument I would make for delay. I would also say that it is likely that whatever the counter argument one may make, we are allowing this development to have so many good things. Why wouldn't they give us more time to figure out what it is we want to ask for, right? That is always the argument for kind of not making a decision. There's so much on the table for them. Why would they not delay? That would be the argument against approval. And the counter argument to that counter argument I made is, me personally, and the reason I will support this today has to do with the broader vision and my sense of fairness. Sense of fairness in that this has been in the works. It's been approved by a previous vintage. It follows a set of terms that, in my opinion, and the opinion of all staff, is fairly conventional. It's the 4%, it's a tax credit deal, so there's limits to how much we could squeeze out. Number two, so I don't feel like, I don't think we're leaving necessarily that much value on the table, and it feels unfair to be an obstacle. Number two, and this is important, in terms of the broad transformation I would like us to see, where we have over the next 10 years accumulate a significant balance sheet, thousands of units are out of this building, et cetera, et cetera. It is important for us to be efficient and predictable on the 394 deals, because we are in a competition. That's how I see it, even if the other folks don't see it, with AHFC and the county for the deals. And I have belief that we should be winning them because we have a superior strategy to deliver permanent and broad affordability to those two entities. And in the case of the city, they have so much more.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna call for the question.
Yes, you can call for the question and I will entertain it when I'm done talking. They have so much more, right? That they don't really need this income. So that is the reason why I feel comfortable with it. At this time, we will, as the real estate committee, need to reevaluate these terms and other terms. And so we may decide for these types of deals, these types of tax credit deals, there's a few tweaks we want to make. There's something we want to ask for earlier in the process. We want to give up more of this to give up more of that, but we have not had a chance to do that. So that is my comment. The question has been called. Is there a second for the question? All right,
Second that we vote.
all right. All those, and we were gonna do a roll call. All those in favor, oh, sorry, we're gonna do a roll call, so let's do the roll.
Okay, President Julio Gonzalez Altamirano.
Yes,
Vice President Lisa Reams.
Here.
oh, we're voting yes, no?
Yes or no?
You abstain, yes, yes.
Director Wilmer Roberts. Director Delee Becker.
I abstain.
Okay, abstain.
I can't, I'd like to.
Yes, okay.
Because it's from a previous vintage.
Delee, abstain. Okay, sorry. Director Jan Wenig.
I vote to approve.
Okay, Director Keisha Prince. Director Rebecca Weber.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
All right, now we will move the second resolution, which is resolution SHFC 2023-07. Same topic, so I will move directly to a vote and let's do a roll call.
Okay, same thing. Okay, President Julio Gonzalez Altamirano.
Yes.
Vice President Lisa Reams. Director Wilmer Roberts.
Yes.
Director Delee Becker.
Yes. Or do I abstain again?
You may abstain.
Yeah.
Whichever one you'd like.
Either one.
Abstain, okay. Director Jan Wenig.
Yes.
Director Keisha Prince. Director Rebecca Weber.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
All right. These motions are approved. I hope everybody that has received the trust of the board in approving the FinCon transaction will help us make sure that all transactions moving forward, we do at the same or higher level of rigor. But this is an important step for us returning to the business of helping forensic crime. At this point, we are
Mr.
26.
Chair, if I may, I
Yes,
just
sir.
want to say that this deal does look like your typical deal where the 5% at 30 is typically what you will see. And I just also want to mention that the City of Austin Housing Authority is also a competitor and because they do projects within the ETJ in the City of Austin, it's happening to be in the City of Austin. So not only is there the Austin Housing Finance Corporation, there is also the City of Austin and the City of Austin Housing Authority that also.
Point of clarification, are you
Yes.
saying they match these terms of offer?
I'm saying as far as competition in terms of what the chair was, the president was referring to. They also could do 4% deals. This is not a 394.
Yeah.
It's under guise of 394, but when people refer to 394, they're talking about the first component of 394, not low income housing tax credits per se. And this is just a low income housing tax credit.
We are 27 minutes into our meeting and I would like to get us out in an hour. Given some of the choices that were made this morning by the sister body. So the most important discussion item is the discussion of Oak Hill Lofts, which is a deal we are considering for approval in October. And so we're going to receive a presentation on that. And then we will move to covering the rest of the discussion items. If a presentation is ready.
Yeah, so
While you set that up, I want to go through some of the other items quickly. Discussion item A, the tenant investment program. In your packet, and I believe directly emailed from me is a resolution version of that language. That is for the review of everyone. If you want to discuss it in the message board. But my goal is to kind of move us towards action since we have the resources to invest. It's very important to me that directors Reams and directors Prince feel good about it. At the real estate committee, we're going to give it another pass at our mid-October meeting. And so my suggestion to you is if you want to participate in shaping that, review what you have received, convey the information either on the message board or to the members of the real estate committee. Any immediate points on that? No, good. Let's go to open data and transparency policy, item C. I put an item on the message board that is an accumulation of suggestions, ideas, and gripes that several of you on the dais and beyond have communicated. And I would look to accumulate these and take action on them to improve the data we have available to the public that we communicate. I think it's pretty intuitive. If you have feedback, please put it on the message board. D, net promoter implementation. I just wanted to make a request with the full body of our HR committee of making a recommendation on how to improve some of the items in our evaluation form. And the one that was top of mind was the net promoter, because we got to pick the exact phrasing of the question. We got to pick when we do it. We got to pick with the EVP who we're going to, all of those issues. And I just wanted to say, give us a recommendation so we can take action and do it in an orderly time early. Any other feedback on that promoter? No. Tenant Bill of Rights, just a status update for the full body. I know that Directors Weber and Wenning are excited to spearhead our attempts to navigate this issue after the work that some of us did last year. And I am eager to see the outcome of their work. I don't know, I yield the floor in case you kind of want to preview to us any thoughts or.
I don't have an update, so much as a plan, which is to, read the analysis that was done previously and talk to the person who did it and see whether it makes sense for them to come speak to us or perhaps I summarize that for everyone.
Okay. Yeah. Well, when he returns, I will convey the. I think it's important for us to anticipate how we want to pragmatically incorporate CBR into deal flow in a way that is, pragmatic, but present. And so we look forward to those suggestions. We'll take a pass of it in the real estate committee, but I suspect if our experience last year, it was indicative, it might take a few iterations. So to reiterate, Mr. Howard, now that you're in the room, Director Weber, Director Wenning are the sub-quorum on resuscitating and advancing Tenant Bill of Rights. If we are ready for Oak Hill Bluffs, we will cover it now.
Yes, Greg with Broadway Homes LLC. Madeline, can we see if he's still on?
Yes, Greg is here. Hello.
Greg, would you like to share your screen, or is this presentation fine? It's in black and white, but do you have?
I apologize. I'm unable to see. I'm unable to see the presentation, so I'm hoping that you can just run through that very quickly, and I'm sure that I know what it is. If there are any questions, we're happy to answer for you. But just real quick, I just want to let you know that Broadway Homes is very excited about your move for potential new partnerships. I apologize that I'm personally not able to be there this afternoon, but this sprang up on us pretty quickly. I will let you start with the presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, so what we'll do is start with this is the overview of Madeline and the summary and the report. Well, that's fine. We'll use the presentation. So this is a tax credit project similar to one you just approved in terms of it being a traditional 4%. They are proposing 80 units with the potential of another unit, another development in the phase 2, which would be a subsequent approval. And of course, this is your first time hearing about the project, so we are in the formative stages of discussion. But with the idea and opportunity for you to be able to hear it early on, we wanted to provide this information to you. 80 units, It's located in an area that traditionally has not had a number of tax credit projects, and in Southwest Austin. As you can see, it's called Oak Hill Lofts and is located generally in the Oak Hill area. If you, Melon, you go down, it's a little bit hard to see. Well, but yeah, I guess a little hard to see the black and white. Go down to the vicinity map on the next big slide. Okay. All right, so the tough one. But let's just say it's in Southwest Austin or 290 near in the general vicinity of 290 West, approaching Oak Hill. Around a lot of access to amenities, goods and services and the like, good schools. Again, an area where there's traditionally not been a lot of development activity of this type. Your predecessors had expressed quite a bit of interest in seeing development occurring in areas other than traditionally southeast and northeast Austin or in Pflugerville and the like. So this is quite an anomaly to see some development, affordable type in this general area. Suffice to say, we can continue on. Just information about, obviously we all understand that there's a need for housing. We can continue on. Next slide. And they just give us some background information. Let me see what else. Let me see what the other slides say here. Yeah, it just keep going. Okay. This is kind of where we are. I mean, they're looking to seek approval by maybe at the October meeting or there before. As you may understand, there is the bonds for the 4% tax credits are considered in October of every year. This year, they'll be considered October the 20th. So ideal, and that's something that we would submit to the bond review board, our council. So theoretically, the approval will need to happen, if it does, sometime in the month of October to meet that deadline. And that would be what I'm sure the developers online would appeal to you for. But that's what they're looking at timeline wise. And then it talks about site work and obviously construction and completion. So next, we'll go to the next slide. Okay. So Greg, I'm gonna let you take it from there and just fill in all the blanks, if you would.
Of course, and thank you for that. Again, this is most importantly, this is directly in the center of the only Imagine Austin Activity Center, West Austin. This is an opportune site. It's up on a bluff, so there'll be some significant views, as well as an expanded, the current road is Old BK's Road, which is only a 2-lane road, but in 2 years before this is placed into service, Old BK's Road will be expanded to 4 lanes with center median and sidewalks. So it'll be a very pedestrian friendly street by the time this is complete, and we are very anxious to be part of the new development out towards West Austin. It is only 80 units in phase 1, but it is more importantly, it is 100% affordable. I know that the income restrictions were a part of your initiative in your drive to new partnerships. So it is important that this is 100% affordable, even though the market rents out in West Austin are significant. And so we are relinquishing the opportunity for market rate units because we like to remain 100% affordable. And importantly, we have lending and equity already in line. So we are just looking for a partnership with Travis County in order to get into the 2024 lottery.
Mr. Howard, what would we be authorizing specifically in October?
So you would be basically authorizing an inducement, similar we talked about with DAPN. You would an inducement for them to submit to the bond. Well, we would submit on their behalf to the bond review board, which essentially would allow them to get an allocation of credits, and then they would continue to move forward. And so there is some negotiations that still would occur, and similar to what you saw today, we would be coming back to you with terms. in this case terms that you would be able to have firsthand knowledge of, because it would be things that you would directly have an impact on. But essentially, the inducement envisioned for the October meeting or sometime in October prior to submission would be just that, for them to submit to make a request for a bond and for tax credits to the bond review board.
And again, this is the first time I've seen it. Will they be
Correct.
using Rhoda money?
Greg, are you guys using, I can't remember, I can't recall.
No, no, we have no expectation to use that.
Yeah, I didn't.
And which land use liberal, are you using affordability unlocked, or which land use provision are you using now?
Yes, it will be affordability unlocked, due to the, well, I guess the 100% affordability.
Yeah, okay.
Well, yes.
Director Winning,
Mr. Stoll, could you define what you mean by 100% affordable?
Yes, well, we are, we're utilizing income averaging. And so the 100% of the units will be eligible for state tax credits. And that is limited to this, to 60% their median income. But with income averaging, then we will have units as deep as, potentially 30, 40, 50%, but then also as high as 80%.
how attached are you to income averaging?
Not tremendously attached. Is that an objection?
From time to time, we hear from stakeholders that have issues with income averaging. The board hasn't taken an official position.
Yes, we're well aware of the issues that started, or when income averaging originated a couple of years ago, but there have been some recent resolutions passed from I believe it was HUD, but there's been some reconciliation, and income averaging is, from what I understand, going to be more accepted.
Any other questions from our body? Mr. Stoll, our real estate committee will be meeting in mid-September, and so we may have some questions ahead of that meeting, and if you're available, we may discuss this opportunity very briefly, and it would be wonderful if it's possible for one of you to be here in October to do so. I recognize it's only an inducement, but it's always helpful to have a face here. If that's not possible, we understand, and we'll make sure we have good virtual communication.
Absolutely. I will certainly be there in September and October if necessary. And I would actually appreciate an opportunity just to come in and shake your hand sometime between then.
All right, well, we will give this a rigorous look, but we are expected to act in a timely fashion on it. You are likely to get significant more questions than what you got today as we move forward between now and our October decision. Thank you for your time, and thank you for thinking about us as you try and shape this deal. Like everybody said, West Austin Light Tech is important and compelling project, and so that is something that raises it in terms of its salience for us as the body. So again, thank you for putting this together and for considering us.
Thank you all.
Right. Thank you for this presentation. I'm going to move off this presentation unless there is any additional comments. Just so a reminder, we are looking to talk about it at the real estate committee, have a recommendation, and take action on inducement in October. And if there needs to be further clarification on that, then email me and I will make sure you know about all the jargon. Committee reports. We'll move to item number 6, committee reports. On the real estate committee, we are meeting in mid-September. Did you hear that? And we are, yes.
Was there follow-up?
You were absolutely right, Director Winning, and I apologize for poor facilitation. We are still in discussion items. August 24th, Commissioners Court work session to follow up. Mr. Howard, did you want to start, or did individual directors want to start?
I'm not going to start.
All right, individual directors, any feedback or observations of what we want to follow up on after a commissioner's visit? Starting with you, Director Weber.
Yes, well, it was very interesting to hear, Ms. Cheryl Brown, the chair of Patsy, talk about, terminating the interlocal agreement between this body and Patsy, and she sort of previewed for the commissioners board that was something she intended to champion.
Director Everett. Any observations or comments you want to make in terms of a follow-up? Director Wynn?
I think it was helpful to have the contact with the commissioners court, and I look forward to having more regular contact. Mr. Howard, do you plan to address that in your summary or follow-up? Okay, so
Sure.
that won't go.
Director Rains, any items up for follow-up after a visit with our appointers?
Actually, just thought of another one, I'm sorry.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, Director Weber.
I was surprised at how uninformed they seemed, the court was about the outcome of the sale of Rosemont. And, I guess that was just, it was eye-opening.
Did you say informed or uninformed?
Uninformed.
Hmm.
Uninformed, yeah.
Is that because we as an organization failed to appropriately communicate or?
Well, I don't have an opinion on that. I was just, what I learned at the meeting was that they are uninformed. I don't really know whose job it is to make sure that something as important as, the alleged resolution of, that cluster, the commissioners seem to not, I'm not even sure that they all knew that the property had been sold, much less that tenants were still being mistreated in the wake of it.
Any other observations on that item? Director Becker, any observations on follow-up with the Commissioners Court?
I have not made it through all the emails. I did ask for the sale contract because I wanted to see what goodies were contractual for the current new owners to provide for the tenants. What I do want, and I don't know if it's the asset manager or property manager or who would have, ideally a spreadsheet of what tenants have gotten what to date. So we would know who's been made whole and who has not.
The first request, I have very good news. In that if you, I personally emailed you the combined closing, post-closing, the whole brouhaha. It's a big PDF. And in the email, I say, make sure you save this to your computer so that when it comes up, you can look at it. And that in there, as I don't remember what it is. It's like Schedule 4 of Appendix C is the post-closing agreement that has the goodies and who has power and the particularly relevant clauses for the Commissioners Court, which is that they are an expressly recognized third-party beneficiary. I also know that we've sent it to staff. I personally sent it along with an email to Commissioner Shea reiterating, I know you got this, but I just want to make sure you really, really got this. And so I have not heard back. And yes,
She got it when?
she got it,
We got it a few times.
yeah, last week a few times.
Oh, not prior to our commission.
Not the
It
full
was-
packet. Yeah, go ahead, sir.
It was sent to the county. I don't know if Commissioner Shea gotten it directly because we don't typically send things directly to them. We send it to the staff, but we did send it again.
You sent it to the staff at some time in the past. Yeah. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, but I'm not implicating anybody, but should they have it?
Yes, they have it, you have it, and it's. The second one, on who has gotten what.
Unit by unit, who's received their benefits.
Well, when you say benefits, you mean,
For example.
For example.
If whenever they finish there, you go through and you blue tape the unit, the tenant would walk through and say, okay, everything's been done, the punch list is complete, then they receive. Can't remember what the monetary value was. They don't get that till they do their punch list, 100%. So some of the tenants may not have finished their punch list. I would hope this person that they hired, that's in the post-closing docs, would be helping them and saying, this is how you finish a punch list if they don't know how, so then they receive their benefits. They had 90 days to do that.
It doesn't exactly, it isn't exactly what what you're suggesting per se. I mean, so it may be helpful to have a debrief on those if that's of interest, but we can do it independently or try to figure out a way to articulate that in a simple form. But in essence, obviously there was outstanding issues related to the property. And those were addressed, in a certain fashion by the developer or the owner. And I can't specifically tell you what that is now because that's not within our purview to figure out how they were going about doing that. Right, so but some of what you're talking about has to do with individuals' right to relocate and what they're receiving in terms of benefits and some other things. So having said that, we will just need to come up with a way to identify those in a list and talk about what that looks like to better sort of summarize what you're asking about. But it'd be hard to articulate that relative to all the varying circumstances that exist relative to folks that continue to live at Rosemont or those that may have moved out and receive relocation benefits for that. So we will work on that to try to figure out the best way to communicate that information.
I will add it as a new item for discussion.
Yeah.
And we will figure out when in the schedule we can get the material ready for discussion of this particular item.
And maybe it's a subcommittee. I mean,
The real estate committee might engage it. We could add it, although I think if we're gonna prepare this material for the real estate committee, my sense is the whole board will want to see it, and it's also a significant. If I'm understanding your request, it's a significant amount of work. And the key issue is the property manager that we had is no longer there. And so, and I'm, without going too much into it right now, I'm not exactly sure how excited the property manager would be to comply with anything we do, especially since we are no longer paying them. But I think I understand the gist of what you would like to see.
I'm gonna say they're contractually obligated.
Yeah, correct. I mean, okay, let's just take a stab at it at the summary first for you all about what was expected in the agreement. And then maybe some idea of where they are, and then we'll follow on with details. But it may be an iterative process, you know what I mean, and all information may not be in our first stab at what you're asking about, because some of that, again, was within the purview of obviously the owner to comply with it, but some of those aren't necessarily on the same timeline. So there may be things that aren't necessarily hadn't been addressed just yet.
Can I get a clarification on whether this body has a right to enforce things in the post-sale agreement?
Yes,
We do.
we
Yeah,
have
be a
not,
legal action. I mean, so it's not just, hey, give me this information, you would be essentially.
if you read the agreement, we can request reasonable. We can ask for reasonable amounts of information in terms of ensuring the things that we said were going to be done. A gift card has with it. But hey, go ahead.
But it's the county that has more power to enforce.
SHFC is named expressly as a beneficiary. We have 2 leftees. The county has a gajillion.
Yeah,
They
so
have.
how do we get this in front of the county?
I don't, if we want to collectively write them, but what is the violation we think is occurring of the post-closing agreement?
Well, whatever the tenants are telling us is not getting done.
So here's what's interesting. And this is just my opinion, and I'm glad we're getting here because it's, I think, constructive. The tenants have not asked us to take action on the post-closing agreement. The organized tenants. Individual tenants may ask us, but I don't have any correspondence. And I say this only as a logistical matter. What would we be saying to the county they need to go and ask Hayden Glade to do? This is-
Well, whatever the tenants presented to the commissioners for when they gave public comment would be what I would ask the county attorney to see if there is anything there that could be, like, you know, a demand letter could be sent to.
So I think it will be important to review it, and this is where it's getting a little conceptual.
Yeah.
Some of the items are not they're not Hayden Glade items. As I heard the testimony, it was SHFC, you did a bad job. You never fixed the bad job, and we're still mad about it.
Yes, and the prior, like our vendor who we hired to manage the property did not keep good records, and therefore people are suffering today because like of a lack of record.
Right, and there were very bespoke arrangements and promises made. The issue again is to instruct the county, and I'm saying this as someone that wants to facilitate action. But I'm kind of like, okay, but what am I putting in that message? Hey, do something about this. And so me personally, I am waiting for either specific communication from specific tenants saying X, and we've talked about some of these cases, or an organized set of tenants or an organization that organizes tenants saying X. And Ms. Garcia's in the room. So if Ms. Garcia thinks I am misunderstanding the outlook of the tenants at this moment, you may correct me in writing after this meeting and say, no, actually, Mr. President, you are way off, and what we want is enforcement around why, because why has not happened. I would say my interest is you engendered a significant price discount to support tenant relocation. And I sort of want to make sure that those resources are being provided one way or another, because that was going to be money in our pockets. And so we heard the requests of the organized tenants, and we heard the request of the buyer that this was the best thing. But you know, they had said we're going to pay X, and then they said subtract Y, both the organized tenants and the buyer. But obviously, I would prefer to have the amount, which was not as significant, $3 million in price discount. So that's a different avenue that the testimony triggered in me of, if Hayden Glade is not living up to his commitments, and if they're not providing monetary value that is representative of that price discount, then maybe we need to have a conversation. But at this point, there has been sentiments, but no request. Do you see what I'm saying? So if the request is needed, if the post-closing agreement is being violated and a third party that is not in the agreement was a relevant stakeholder feels we need to take action, I think we're all ready to take action. And if there are individual cases of people that have grievances either against Hayden Glade in terms of violating the post-closing agreement or with us, finally, the president's perspective is that obviously restorative measures need to be taken, and that is why he is very supportive of a not life-changing, but more than modest monetary disbursement to everybody that went through the whole thing. It will not solve issues. It is not the fairest thing, but it gets us moving in the right direction. I care a lot about it. It's resolving this, but I'm also like some of the folks that have been through this, I wanna make sure that we use our time and energy and our credibility with the court to secure actual gains. So I'm open to writing that correspondence if we have specific requests of either cases or big policy violations. And as we fulfill Director Becker's request, we might want to check in with Hannah Glenn and be like, how much have you spent on relocation aid? Which I believe we are entitled to ask.
Yes, we are.
Any other items on this? Any other feedback on this? I will just add that the staff conveyed to Mr. Howard and to me a few requests, like they needed to get this agreement, they want to see our progress in tenants' bill of rights. And so we will take that and we'll make progress with those things.
I don't know where we are right now. We're summarizing commission.
Follow up from the commissioner's court.
Okay. Sorry, I got lost. What we're talking about. So, a couple of takeaways for me in terms of the commission's court. So obviously a need to communicate often, or more often, I should say. We have communicated with the staff subsequently about an idea of having a schedule. We did, so just so you know, we had a previous schedule of 6 months. It just didn't come to fruition. So so despite the fact it took as long as it did, there was a previous plan in place to meet every 6 months. It just didn't happen. But we have reiterated the need for a discussion. So we're gonna work on a schedule to do such. I independently had shared some thoughts with the commissioners board. From my perspective, being in this position, not necessarily reflecting of any board that I work for, i.e. in this one or the housing authority, but I will share that with you all as well here in a little while. But just on that note, one of the things that I thought was critically important was it seemed like there was a window of opportunity for us to talk about collaboration more seriously as collective bodies all interested in improving the affordable housing space in Travis County. And so I just wanted to implore of them the desire to do that in a timely fashion, to obviously, develop our own vision for housing and how we will adjust those. Generally speaking, I think, and then I guess just lastly, the importance of underscoring, more globally, the need to look at tenant protections, not just from an individual organization perspective, but just as a county and with stakeholders, how we view that in a more holistic fashion. But those are my, general takeaways from the commissioners court meeting and some of the things that we're going to be working on, ensuring that we do again is having some ability to dialogue more frequently. And I think what may happen is it may be more specific to certain components as opposed to, there was a lot that was trying to be undertaken at the meeting, which obviously made it difficult to get through all the agenda because it's fairly ambitious. But with the frequency of having more meetings, we'll be able to maybe be more targeted in what we discuss. We'll just have to see, but that's kind of where we are, I think.
Do you envision co-planning, collaborating with the commission on planning for how to address affordability and
The commissioner of plant.
do you envision doing some direct collaboration with one or more commissioners or the entire commissioner returning to develop a plan for affordability in Travis County?
Well, if I liken it to strategic housing blueprint, there was someone hired to do facilitated discussions with stakeholders to include stakeholder groups the elected officials and the like. So I'm hoping that there will be a process that's as serious and robust as that, where you have an actual defined strategy in mind where someone is paid to help facilitate discussions to come up with a plan, actually, as opposed to just individual commissioners having conversations per se, that I hope it gets raised to that level. You know, where we have actually meetings with the public to talk about the need for housing, and then obviously support that with data. Housing Works, you know, is frequently provides data to the public, you know, to the commissioners, and to us about housing, you know, things of that nature. But hopefully that'll raise to that level. And then, you know, as far as policies and strategies, yes, I hope that's what, you know, it becomes, that is that robust.
We are at our hour. And so if we are okay, we're gonna move off this item. On committee reports, I do not believe there are any committee reports, so we are done with that. On executive vice president report, unless anybody has any question of documentation, we're gonna move through it. I do have one question, but I want to make sure. Anybody else have a question about the portfolio development pipeline financial report? Director Wenning has a question.
Yeah, when we get there, are we there?
Yes,
Go first. I'm gonna blow that.
the cash in text pool is available for our commitment to programs.
Yes.
Got it. That's it.
I'm looking really, oh, there it is. On our portfolio,
Yes.
I just have a question about the appearance of developments that I've previously seen on another board, that being TCFC.
Yes.
And how does it work that Wild Horse Flats is now in strategic?
Wild Horse has, excuse me.
Because we reviewed that same named property. I was trying to find it before this meeting at TCFC.
Wild Horse has always been on the strategics list of
I'll
properties.
take
Now
it
there
with
were,
you in the email, then I'll show you the email I had with the developer on that.
okay, there may have been I may have made a mistake on the previous
Is
version
it
of it,
Elbington Capital Group,
but
And
Elmington,
is it Mr. McCord?
yeah, Elbington is doing Blue Ridge which was a PFC, and
Mhm.
now it will be
at
probably
4%.
at 4%.
Okay, never mind.
So we had a couple of them that are changing from PFC
They're
structure.
changing.
Well, they're hoping to change.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing now.
Yeah.
That's where we are gonna be. That's exactly right.
With ones that are already formed. With
So
deals.
the PFC may have approved them already, you know, in concepts, but obviously they had to secure funding and approvals. So some of them are looking to do the 394 structure now. In the case of Blue Ridge, they got an allocation of tax credits. Now they want to work with the HFC instead of PFC.
Maybe just introduce it that way, so for those of us who are looking at the history of the deal, that'd be helpful.
Sure.
That's all I've got.
Okay, any other questions from the report? Folks, I know that we don't always talk about them, but we always review them. I have reviewed them very carefully. And there will be a time when we talk about them extensively. Thank
Yeah,
you.
and we're changing the status report. It'll be more like category based, where you're talking about projects and by development, and then a little bit about the status. So it'll look a little different next time, next month.
Mr. Howard, for our board notification policy, are there any notifications you need to make at this meeting to the board?
I'm not aware of it.
No. Please read the social housing update brief. Any other discussion, any other questions or discussion of the executive vice president reporting? No, good. So new and unfinished business. We have quite a few items, and I want to lead off with one that you brought up. It has become apparent to me that that HATC is very interested in, as I would call it, decoupling from SHFC. One of the tricky things, and I don't know if those of you on the HATC board talk about it, is since 3 of you are on HATC, if we talk about it, we have an unannounced quorum of your body. So we need to have a joint meeting if we are to discuss it.
Only two of them are here.
Right now, I'm saying if we are
Oh,
gonna have
yeah.
a discussion of it, we've got 3 of them. So we need to have a joint meeting. I wanted to get a sense of you all about your openness to having that joint meeting, as well as your general sentiments about the possibility of decoupling. Decoupling means that we no longer have a financial obligation to HATC. HATC no longer has any responsibility to support us, and eventually over time or immediately, depending on the preferences of HATC, our staffs or space, we become different things. We will become what AHFC is to HATC, you know, it's a 394 over there, is what we would become. And it is important for the record to know in the minutes that this is an initiative being driven by HATC, not a request from SHFC. Director Webb, we're starting with you. Are you open to a joint session and your feelings on decoupling?
Yes, I absolutely think a joint session is in order. I also would appreciate the guidance from staff about the fact that I am a human being who happened to have heard things in executive session earlier today, and it's not like I can sit here and not know those things. So I need to understand what are the confidentiality obligations that I have from being a HATC director, sitting in executive session, and now sitting here with a duty to this body. I'm a little befuddled by how to deal with the confidentiality issue. So do you think that you can help me with that, Mr. Howard, or do I need to consult someone else?
Yeah, I don't want to speak out of turn. I mean, things that in executive session are supposed to not be shared. I think that I have the ability to share information that you all don't necessarily, that is in and outside of executive session. So let me just consult with the attorney on that. I mean, obviously I was there, so I could, as a result of such, I would be able to share information in my capacity to you all that I feel like has a bearing on, you know, discussion on, you know, decision making. But I would need to consult with the attorney just like you on that item. So I think if I were you, I would reserve comments until we get some more clarity on it.
Okay, I'll reserve most of my comments, except just say that I think that is a decoupling is probably what is best for this body. Just given the history and the Rosemont situation. I think it would probably be a good idea to ask for an attorney to be present at the joint.
Mr. Prince? All right, Director Wayne?
I also am initially in favor of the notion of decoupling, terminating the agreement. It is being initiated by another party. I share your confusion into what I can say right now. But let me just say, I'd be very interested in getting advised by counsel on what's a good way to do this and what's a legitimate and genuinely feasible timeline. That would be something I'd be asking for.
Director Webb?
No comment.
All right, so we will get that joint meeting scheduled. I think I think everybody's sustainability and mental health will be helped if there's clarity about the decoupling. And I think we can do it in a way that is incremental and viable and, you know, financially healthy for everyone involved. We'll see. Additional items. So I will work with you, Mr. Howard, around this Rosemont tenant transition row by row from Ms. Becker. Mr. Howard, you are going to forward, if you have not already, your email of policy ideas for the Commissioners Court. And I do think they should inform our SHFC board letter to the court with some asks and suggestions based on what the feedback that they gave us and that Mr. Howard has. I have a few more items. I want to read into the record our ad hoc social housing committee appointments of Director White and Director Prince. Thank you for joining us on that journey.
Ad hoc social,
Housing.
Social
Pilot
housing.
Committee, yes. If you haven't already, submit your bio to the website. Almost everybody has submitted it. I was one of the laggards. Submit your bio if you haven't. Ms. Hoffman and Mr. Howard, if we could have a more consistent way for people to virtually access our meetings, like a permanent link or a solution, maybe we ask Mr. Brisniak to just create a URL that is sort of join meeting that will always forward to whatever is live. We gotta find a way to make that a little easier for all of us. Okay, we'll talk more about it over email, just saying it's coming. Additional technology issue, if we could have Boardable notify us when there's new stuff on it. Because it doesn't have a notification function.
And it's not working.
It's really annoying because we don't know. So we go in there once and then we come out, there's new stuff. It's not catastrophic so far, but there were a few meetings back in the day where it felt catastrophic to me. And given that we're gonna be doing deals as opposed to just resolutions, it could become a real issue that affects material projects. So we've got to find a way to do that. One little thing that would also help is if you could internally adopt an agenda versioning system. So the way the city council does it is
Got it.
agenda V1, agenda V2, no deletions ever.
Okay.
And they shouldn't be because they're public documents. So agenda V3, part 1, part 2, agenda V4. That way, when I log in to check the day of, if it's oh, we're up to V3, I'll immediately know. Whereas what I have to do now is sort of wade and be like, oh, this page is different. Something has changed.
Well, technically 72 hours, we can't change the meeting, after 72 hours. And we certainly can pull those down. Correct, the public meeting, you have to notice,
No, but I think it was changed yesterday at 3:31.
not the meeting, not the agenda. No.
When I said agenda, I
You
meant, sorry,
mean the
the
packet?
packet.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sorry,
well, I'm just
That's
being,
it.
yeah,
he said that. So,
I said agenda, I misspoke.
yeah, I'm just referring,
You need the packet.
responding
You
to,
need the packet.
You are literally correct, and what I mean is the packet and the
You need the packet.
resources.
yes, you want notification, we got that part, notification when there's a new item. Which we need to fix, because Boardable does do that, so I was already on that part, and then we started talking about the agendas, and I thought you were making reference to changes to the, because that's what.
Okay.
So, yeah, we will,
But packet versions we can do on Boardable.
Packet version, and if there is a notification, an automatic notification.
Yes, that I'll figure out.
yeah, we will.
If it exists.
That I just gotta figure out. But in the meantime, very simple fix, versions of packets.
Yeah,
Got it.
even, and they're separate, because we should always version regardless of notification, because.
Yes, correct. But I'm saying in the meantime, very simple fix, I can do the versions of the packet.
Thank you.
Right.
Ms.
And then the
Hoffman.
website, we should change the packets too, because we've been uploading them as well, so to the SHFC
Just have to
website.
let that, yeah.
Yeah, and you can do the versions on there too, because that's what City Hall does. It works. And it
Sure,
just, to be honest, it conveys a sense of transparency and diligence. And it helps for our meeting watchers. That's it for new and unfinished business,
Okay.
unless anybody else has new and unfinished business. We are at 78 minutes. You're welcome. Is there a motion to adjourn? And is there, Director Weber makes a motion?
Second.
The second is Director Becker. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
This meeting is adjourned.